Hi, I'm Catherine from Making You Happen, and I wanted to make a little mini-series about this issue of how to make that change, that leap of change, when you're feeling undecided or you're on the cusp and something's holding you back, but you really, really want to make that change. It could be a big change like starting your own business or changing jobs, making a radical change with your job, or leaving a relationship, or moving countries, something like that. And I've been listening this week to some spirituality and manifestation podcasts, and particularly one by Ashley Gordon, where she was interviewing somebody called Rachel Gibler. And they were talking about how to embrace your purpose with integrity, but this issue of making change in your life and how to not be afraid and how to make that change and make that leap came up. And one of the issues that particularly resonated with me in making change is acknowledging your fears. And we all have fears, and these are often things that hold us back, and often we think they're real, so they stop us making change. But sometimes we need to really look at them properly and acknowledge that perhaps they're not as real as we think or believe. So Rachel was talking about the fear of judgment. And she was telling the story about how when she was younger, she was very much a sort of party animal, always going out, always getting drunk. Everybody looked to her as the fun person. And that was how she was known at that time of her life. And how when she moved into becoming a spiritual coach and manifester and leading others, how she had to face that fear of judgment, because she thought that the people in her youth would judge her and say, "But what do you know? You just went to parties a lot, and what do you know about life and spirituality," and so on. And this issue really resonated with me, because when I heard that, I realized that I too have a fear of judgment. When I was younger, I was very quiet and shy and wouldn't say boo to a goose. I was always in the background. And as soon as she talked about her fear of judgment, I realized, oh, that's me. I have a fear of judgment because I think from my past, people may look at me now and say, "But what do you know? You're just so quiet. You did nothing. You said nothing. How do you know anything about life?" And so I think it's important to acknowledge those fears, acknowledge that you may fear judgment by those who know you now or those who knew you in your past, especially if you're going to make a big change where you may be stepping into a different person than you were. And remember that you have everything you need inside you to make that change. Something is calling you to do it. It doesn't matter what people think or how they judge you. And sometimes really it's you imagining that they're going to judge you, or you judging yourself. Maybe that fear of judgment is really a fear of, oh, well, I used to just be whatever you used to just be, and how can that possibly mean that I have enough now to make this change? But you do. You've got enough life experience. You've changed whether you know it or not, and you've got everything that you need to make that change. The second issue I want to talk about is something Rachel referred to as leaping before you're ready, leaping in before you're ready. So in her case, and certainly in my case too, I have always leapt into things before I could have been considered ready. Before I'd maybe read everything I needed to read, before I considered myself to be absolutely trained up and ready on something that I wanted to do. And the same with her. And sometimes you need to do that. You need to simply leap before you're ready. Maybe not too early, but certainly you're never going to get to a point where you feel like, I am absolutely ready. I am more than ready. I know everything I need to know before I do something and make a change. And Rachel was also talking about the idea of embodying your change from the top down as well as from the bottom up. So the top down is things like affirmations, you know, the things where we say, I am ready, I know everything I need to know to be whatever it is you want to be, that you're becoming, the change that you're making. And the bottom up is doing it and getting down and dirty and actually making it happen and becoming that change. So if you do both of those, and leap before you're ready, because you're never really going to be ready, are you? Then that is a way to deal with making change, making significant change in your life that you really, really want to make, but you're just too afraid. The third issue I wanted to talk about when you're attempting to make a big change in your life, when you're weighing up whether you should take that leap, is to acknowledge your breakthroughs. Now, by that I mean that when you're thinking deeply about this, or listening to podcasts, or watching videos, or reading books, or blog posts with advice from people who've done it before, or have something important to say that resonates with you about making change, is when you feel that aha moment of, oh, that really resonates with me, that makes sense to me, oh wow, that's happened to me, oh wow, that's really important, is to stop and acknowledge, oh, I've just had a breakthrough, I've just realized something really important. This is going to make a difference in my life. And the story that I have is when I was listening to the same podcast that I've been talking about with Ashley Gordon and Rachel Gibler, is when Rachel was talking about the fear of judgment that she had when she moved from being a young person to an older person who is now a spiritual coach and leader, how she had that fear of judgment. And immediately that resonated so much with me because of my past. And I stopped and I thought, wow, I've just had a breakthrough. And it was a really important moment for me to stop and breathe and acknowledge that, and then acknowledge what that meant. You know, how would I be different now that I'd faced that fear, that I'd realized I have it, and that I need to do something about it. So I think that is a really important thing to do, is acknowledge your breakthroughs and celebrate your breakthroughs and make them meaningful. You know, change something, do something different when you've had that breakthrough, because after all, that's why it's come to you, so that you can move forward with grace and effortlessly and into something a better life, a happier life, a life of greatness. So be glad when you have a breakthrough. Thanks for watching, and you can find out more about my courses, coaching and more at pensight.com/x/Catherine Rose Newey or at makingyouhappen.net. See you soon.